The UFC featherweight championship is now vacant. Volkanovski is in as particularly measured here across the first minute. Volk goes to the inside leg kick now, changes the level and goes high.
It's the one, the only, Alexander the Great Volkanovski taking on Diego Lopes. Now, yes, there's some critics out there talking shit because this was Alexander Volkanovski's last fight. But as we know, Diego Lopes went out, knocked out Jean Silva, who looked amazing last week, knocked him out cold with a spinning elbow, right? And I'd rather watch that than Movsar Evloev trying to grapple him down for 25 minutes, right? And I'm sure Alexander Volkanovski doesn't care. Now, this fight is a very intriguing matchup. It's top of the bill. It's the first time that Alexander Volkanovski has defended his belt on home soil, which is crazy. One of the greatest fighters of the featherweight division. It's the first time he's ever defended it. Yes, you're going to say, well, hold on a minute, he fought in Perth. Yeah, when he fought in Perth against Islam Makhachev, that was going up to 155, trying to become a two-weight division champion.
You never know what's going on with injuries, stuff like that. Both guys 100% healthy. I think Volk gets it done again. He's too good at staying busy on the outside. Not really busy to where he's damaging you. Then he explodes in with like rugby-style tackles. He's dominant on the ground. He's strong. He's really hard to take down. He's even harder to keep down. And he's so good at mixing it up. He's so fast twitch. He used to be 250 pounds, so his bones are thick. And he's explosive. And he's the great for a reason. He is the great for a reason. So I think Alexander Volkanovski gets it done by decision and maintains the featherweight world title.
Volk is like perfect at hitting the inside kick, that outside kick, the jab, shooting takedowns when he needs to or when Diego Lopes rushes in. Volk just can't get caught into that chaos. He did get rocked that fight, and then you're still coming off of 2 knockouts before that, right? So we saw that your chin could hold up, and it did hold up the last fight, but I don't want to just keep playing with it because you never know when your chin is done. So this fight, control the range with the jab, the low kick, keep mixing up the rhythms how you do where it's jab, jab, combination, jab, jab, combination, and then getting Diego Lopes to be going backwards. When you're getting Lopes going backwards, I think he's uncomfortable there. He needs to wind up, he needs to explode on you. And it's hard to do when you're going backwards. It's hard to do when you're seeing all these feints that Volk's throwing at you. So Volk has to keep the feints coming, keep the jabs coming, the flick jab, the long jab. And then
Volk versus Lopes 2 is locked in, and both guys look more than ready to run it back. You can hear the confidence from both sides, and neither fighter is acting like this is a risky fight for them. But this rematch is bigger than just the two men involved. Everyone is watching this one closely. Fans, analysts, and fighters alike are trying to figure out what changes this time and who walks away when it's all done.
My prediction for the main event of the evening. Volkanovski, how would I go against him? That would be, how could I go against him? I'm not sure how we got here. Because these guys just fought. I'm not put in a position to close my eyes and try to envision what would happen if Volk and Lopes fought. I don't have to do that. Because they did. At the same weight class. Not that long ago. And there was nothing controversial about it. It was 5 clear, crisp, dominant rounds won by Volkanovski. And I gotta tell you it like that because somebody, somewhere, saw something different. This fight did not get made as a way of giving Volk a win.
When Michael Bisping analyzed the first fight, he relied very much on what actually happened round by round in that fight. He showed that Volk did what Volk always does in the beginning. Good movement, good exits, lots of feints, and keeping the danger at a distance. But he also didn't ignore the points where Lopes began to find success. When Lopes finally stopped holding back and began to use his hands, the dynamic of the fight changed.
Big one. Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. In the first matchup, Volkanovski started off very smooth, staying at bay, out of range from the punches, using the kicks, using a lot of feints, causing Diego Lopes to hesitate. And when he was going in, Volkanovski, closing the distance, he would land 2-3 punches, he would get out and then use the feet to get right out of way, right out of harm's way. And he was frustrating Diego Lopes a little bit. But as the fight progressed, when Lopes started going to work, when he started believing in himself and he started throwing, he was doing damage. And he dropped Volkanovski on a number of occasions. Now, yes, Volkanovski took him down here and there. And yes, as the fight was going on, the tide was kind of turning towards Diego Lopes.
What was interesting about Bisping's prediction was the way he contrasted the rematch based on experience versus adaptation. He talked about Volk's age and the rumors surrounding it, but he obviously believed in Volk's fight smarts over the numbers. He even referenced previous rematches to prove a point. On the other hand, he did not downplay Lopes either. He pitted it on who makes the bigger leap between the two bouts. Volk has the brains and the composure in the ring. Lopes has the confidence, the strength, and the proof that he belongs there.
But we got to remember, Volkanovski, even though the man is 37 and there's this whole curse on smaller fighters over 35 years old, the man's fight IQ is off the charts. And look at some of the people that he has history with in terms of rematches. Look at the first fight against Max Holloway. Very close fight. A lot of people thought Holloway won that. The second match was a little bit better for Volkanovski. But the third match, by then he downloaded the data and the man knew what to do. And it was an absolute shut-off against Max Holloway. There was no discussion of robberies or anything like that. Volkanovski was clearly the better man on that night. So he's got 25 minutes with Diego Lopes, and Diego Lopes has got 25 minutes to study and analyze, and all his team to sit around. He's got the maddest mullet in all of Mexico, and his whole team will be sitting there going, right, here's what we got to do. Who's going to make the improvements? Who's going to make the adjustments?
Max Holloway leaned towards Alexander, but he still said Lopes is a constant threat, always pushing forward and throwing with ill intent. However, he also noted that this approach has its weaknesses. Lopes is a fast guy who takes risks and sometimes has trouble slowing down and regrouping. According to Max, Lopes can win big moments, but Volk has a better chance of winning minutes. This is a huge difference over 5 rounds.
I'm leaning towards Alex because of just his overall experience, to be honest. Diego's really good, but I think so his experience it still needs a little bit more time. Look, he has a lot of fights. He has more fights than Alex, but he's a wild man, bro. He get in there, he's just always on, bro. He's always going 100 miles per hour, you know what I mean? And he was having his last fight, yeah, he did win, but he's having a little bit of a tough time to figure it out. I think Alex and his camp, they're very smart masterminds, bro. They're very smart minds. They mastermind fights all the time and game plans all the time. I think Alex go in there, stick and move. I mean, Alex.
The most pressing issue Max had was Volk's resilience, and he did not shy away from it. He agreed that Volk was dropped in the first bout and that Lopes has shown he can hit clean. However, he also noted that hitting is not the same as finishing, and Lopes failed to do so when he had the opportunity. As far as Max is concerned, the question is not whether Lopes can reach Volk, but whether he can do it repeatedly and remain composed enough to capitalize on it.
The scary thing, the whole scary thing about this whole fight is this. Alex gets hit, and is he gonna withstand it? We saw him in the first fight with Diego where he got hit, he did withstand it, he fell, but Diego didn't capitalize. Does this time, if Diego has somewhat success of being able to catch him, does he capitalize on it? That's the biggest question here. With that being said, he still gotta land, you know what I mean? Alex is super smart at not getting hit. Everybody keeps talking about Alex's age or whatever, which I don't think it is affecting him. I think he'd be fine. I think Alex is gonna stick and move with him, and then maybe hurt him, and then when he hurt him, maybe go in for the kill. But this fight, man, I like the way Alex talking. I like his confidence. Like he's saying, he's gonna make it look easy. He's gonna go in there. I wonder if he's timing the thing that Diego is like always touching that scar in his neck, and if he's gonna hit him every time. Then I don't know. Just throwing ideas out there. We never know. Diego Lopes is a killer, man, but it's just. Like I said, man, I just think the experience, man. Now, Volk has so much experience, and Diego is kind of like, he's well experienced, don't get me wrong, but just in certain situations, he does a lot of high risk, high reward kind of thing.
Tim Welch relied heavily on the notion that this fight is dangerous for Volk, but doable as long as he stays in the right lanes. He spoke about Lopes' ground game and made it clear that although Lopes is legit on the ground, that particular quality wanes against an individual with the build of Volk. Volk's size, balance, and awareness neutralize most of the flashy jiu-jitsu attacks. Lopes may pose a threat with submissions, but Volk does not panic in those situations. situations. He recognizes the danger early and quickly turns defense into offense.
World title is on the line. Rematch. We got Diego Lopes, 31 years old, 27 wins, 7 losses, 11 KOs, 12 submissions, 4 decisions. The kid is a really good black belt. You saw it in his debut against Movsar. He about subbed him 4 or 5 times. Also, you saw Volkanovski put him on his back. And the jiu-jitsu from the back just doesn't work against a guy like Volkanovski. He's too small. He's too explosive. He's a little ball of muscle. He's too good at noticing triangles, noticing arm bars, posturing up, and then beating your lips in. Diego Lopes, Mexican boxer. He doesn't back up much. When he gets hurt, he grabs his Adam's apple. He flicks his Adam's apple to make sure he's still there. But he's dangerous. In this last fight, every time Volk stepped in, he rips these uppercuts. He's a good counter puncher. There's ways for him to win.
Tim's ultimate lean towards Volk as he understood the age factor and the losses, but he did not let that be conclusive. His logic was straightforward. If both men are healthy, Volk's ability to stay busy on the outside, to explode into takedowns, and to mix it up over 5 rounds is what gives him the edge. Tim stressed how difficult Volk is to keep down and how quickly he can change gears from striking to grappling.
Before that, got KO'd by Ilya, got KO'd by Islam. Again, with these, when we make these picks, we're always thinking these guys are all 100% healthy. You never know what's going on in these guys' fight camps. You never know what's going on in their personal lives. You never know what's going on with injuries, stuff like that. Both guys 100% healthy. I think Volk gets it done again. He's too good at staying busy on the outside. Not really busy to where he's damaging you. Then he explodes in with like rugby style tackles. He's dominant on the ground. He's strong. He's really hard to take down. He's even harder to keep down. And he's so good at mixing it up. He's so fast twitch. He used to be 250 pounds, so his bones are thick. And he's explosive. And he's the great for a reason. He is the great for a reason. So I think Alexander Volkanovski gets it done by decision and maintains the featherweight world title.
Belal Muhammad's breakdown leaned heavily toward how clean Volk looked in the first fight. He framed that first matchup as a near-perfect performance, especially considering the pressure Volk was under after 2 knockout losses. The way Belal saw it, Volk answered every question in that fight by controlling range, pace, and rhythm. The jab and low kicks kept Lopes from settling, and Volk never let the fight drift into long, wild exchanges.
Second card of the year, second Paramount card, second time these two are fighting. Volkanovski fighting him back to back, basically. Lopes had one fight in between against Gene Silva, which was a crazy knockout, all chaos fight. So let's get the keys to victory. When we talk about Volk in that first fight, I mean, I thought it was a dominant fight. I thought that coming off of 2 losses in a row against Topuria and Islam, people are like, is Volk done? Is his time over with? And then to go fight a guy like Diego Lopes, who's a monster, just crazy, chaotic, powerful, great jiu-jitsu, and Volk did a beautiful job of sticking to that jab, low kicks, controlling the pace of the fight, controlling the range of the fight. I thought Volk basically fought the perfect fight against Lopes that fight. I think he only had one little slip up where he got rocked, but other than that, I thought it was a super clean fight for Volk and one of his best performances.
Belal's pick flipped the fight on its head because of motivation and timing, not skill. He questioned whether Volk can truly improve on a performance that was already close to perfect, especially in a back-to-back matchup. At the same time, he pointed out that Lopes now knows what a title fight feels like and what mistakes he made early. Belal leaned into the idea that Lopes has more room to grow in this rematch, especially if he brings pressure earlier and forces exchanges sooner. Chael Sonnen leaned towards Volk, and the biggest reason Hess stayed with Volk came down to conditioning and time. He stressed how hard it is to rebuild cardio and pressure habits in a short window. For Lopes to win, Chael believes he has to push Volk backward, crowd him, and keep that pace for 5 rounds. That is not just a mindset shift, it is a physical one. In their first fight, Volk clearly had more gas and used it to wear Lopes down. Chael did not think enough time had passed for that gap to close in a meaningful way. Chael didn't see this as a grappling or mixed fights win for Lopes either. The path he talked about was striking, hurting Volk bad enough to stop the fight. He linked that to Volk's recent losses, saying the only times Volk has been beaten were when he got hit clean and hard. That doesn't mean Lopes will do it, but it explains why people keep talking about it. Chael sees Lopes's hands as real and dangerous, but only if Lopes fully commits to them instead of waiting around or searching searching for perfect shots. Dan Hardy leaned a lot on the idea that Diego's biggest edge is learning time. He talked about how fighting someone once can completely change how you see them the next time. A lot of fighters think they understand an opponent until they actually feel them, and then it's different. Dan pointed out that Volkanovski's movement has confused top fighters before, and now Diego at least knows what that confusion feels like. When Dan talked about what Diego needs to fix, he focused on footwork and discipline. He kept stressing that reaching out and chasing are how people get punished by Alex. Volkanovski is at his best when opponents overextend and miss. Dan felt Diego needs to stay balanced, close distance more smartly, and cut off the cage instead of following him around. For Dan, this was the clearest area where Diego could improve fast. So now it all comes down to this. Nothing is unknown anymore. These two have already shared the cage, felt each other's speed, power, and pressure. One side believes control, pace, and experience will decide it again. The other believes growth, pressure, and damage can change the story this time. That is what makes this rematch so interesting. It is not built on hype, rather on questions that only 5 rounds can answer. Now we want to hear from you. Who do you think wins this rematch, and how do you see it playing out? Let us know in the comments below.